So basically, if you want to compare it to anything that you're familiar with, one thing might be like a pro and cons list. It's a little similar to that, except it's going to go more in depth. So let's get into what that means. It is useful for when you're trying to decide whether to pursue a specific course of action. And specifically within a business, you are going to be able to look at specific costs, like literal money, that a decision would cost you, and then that amount of money that it would benefit you. But not only just physical money, other costs and benefits that it would have as well. Okay. Here's just some examples of when you might use it: when you're developing a new business strategy, making resource allocations, deciding on new projects, etc., etc. I don't expect you to remember all of these, but just know that honestly, it's very useful if a decision is going to be something that has any sort of great impact. You're not going to use this if you're deciding whether or not to eat a ham sandwich or a tuna sandwich, okay? It's going to be something that's on a little bit larger scale. All right, so here are the steps to doing a cost-benefit analysis. First of all, build a framework. So what that means, I'm going to go into what that means. Okay, so just put number one, build a framework. This is where you're going to analyze the reason for doing this. Okay, so build a framework. That's going to include the following: the question you're going to answer. So like what question do you have? So for example, if you are trying to figure out what to do to your app for a company, the question you're trying to figure out is, should we improve our mobile app? Or should we make changes to our mobile app? Or what products should we improve? Okay, anything like that. So the question you're going to analyze. The framework should also include an overview of your current situation. So if you're talking about the app, whether you should make changes to the app, you're going to talk about what your app currently does, what your app is good for, how your customers are using the app. So an overview of your current situation. I know this kind of goes with the previous one, but not only are you going to give the overview of your current situation, you're going to give a little more in-depth background as far as statistics, okay? So here's a word that I want you to write down, and it's right up here on the screen: quantitative. Quantitative. Okay, quantitative. I'll define that. And then you also, quantitative is something that you can put into numbers and know for sure. So for example, if I said, how many of you, raise your hand if you like the color orange? Okay, great. So I could say 2 out of 15 people like the color orange. That's a quantitative number. However, if I just said, okay, tell me who likes orange, speak out right now. And then I'll say, oh, I heard some murmurs. So I'll say a few people like it. I think there's some interest in orange, okay? That's not quantitative. That's not actual data, right? Or if I make observations, that's not data. Quantitative means you have numbers, you have actual data. So within this framework, you're going to want to put that data. So for example, you could put 75% of users use this app more than 2 days. Or you could say that 90% of sales come from our app. All right, so any actual physical numbers that you have concerning whatever problem, whatever question, whatever current situation you're looking at. This does not include goals yet, which is actually what's going to come next in a minute. Okay, opportunities. Now, when I was an assistant manager at a retail store, my store manager, every day, especially when she was training me, would come up to me and say, so here are your opportunities. What she was meaning is, here are the ways that you really stunk it up today and what you can work on. But in business language, it's called opportunities, okay? So opportunities are things that you can improve, things that you're not doing great at, but you can do better at. So see how that sounds better than saying, here, you stunk today, do this better. Instead, you can say, hi, Ava, your opportunities, right? Okay, so think of opportunities, areas of improvement that you feel like could make whatever situation it is better. Okay, next you're going to put risk. This is still within framework. Risk of the status quo. Status quo is the same thing as just not doing anything, not changing anything, okay? So what would the risk be? What do you think the risk would be if you changed something? If you changed your app, maybe your customers would get confused. The older people would stop using it because they don't like change. What are the risks? What could go wrong? Oh, no. What could go wrong if you don't change anything? Risk of the status quo. Okay, that's opposite. What is the bad thing that could happen? Scratch out what I just said. It's still risk of status quo, but what are the bad things that could happen if you don't change anything? Okay, so maybe you look at, okay, our app has a glitch. So what could go wrong if we don't change that? We could lose thousands of customers. Their sales could not go through. Whatever is going to happen bad if you don't make a change. Okay, if you don't make a change. Okay, so here's an example. I kind of use this already as an example. So the background, we have a mobile app and a web app. Current performance, our mobile app has 100K users and our web app has 400K. Opportunities, we have 300 users who use the web app but not the mobile app. And then projected future performance with status quo. There's a lot of numbers there. I'm not going to read all this. Okay, risk of status quo is lack of mobile adoption, means users have less flexibility. And then competitors will gain an edge if you don't change. Okay, all right, the second thing, so all of that stuff was under framework. Okay, that's the very first step in cost-benefit analysis. The next part is number 2, list and categorize costs and benefits. And these are going to have subcategories as well, of course. Okay. So the next subcategory is going to be cost. So this is still under number 2. So the types of costs that you might list out are going to be direct costs. So this is costs that literally you are paying to make this change happen. Let's say that our school is going to start getting vending machines. Let's say every classroom is going to have a little mini vending machine. That would be amazing. Okay, so the direct cost to that would be the vending machines, the labor, stocking it, right? Those are direct costs. Okay, this is pretty much the easy one. These are the obvious costs. Okay, if you want to put that obvious stuff. However, the other type of costs are indirect costs. These are things that include your overall ongoing overhead expenses for your business. So for example, for Cross Creek, it would be our electricity bill, our mortgage payment, paying the teachers and staff, okay? It doesn't have anything to do directly with the vending machines, but it's still a cost that we have to continue to pay for our business. Okay, indirect costs. Okay, the third kind is intangible costs. These are costs that you don't necessarily have down on paper, right? You can't look at these and say, I know this is going to be $500. This is going to be costs that may impact, for example, let's use Cross Creek as an example. Intangible costs for putting vending machines in every classroom could be that students have an increased satisfaction, okay? Or teachers have a decreased satisfaction because now we have to deal with food junk all over our rooms. It could be that we are going to gain potential students or we're going to lose potential students, okay? So it's things that have to do with satisfaction or brand perception, things that you can't necessarily put a dollar amount on. Okay? Costs of potential risks. Costs that are associated with unexpected stuff. So for example, let's use the vending machine. What's something unexpected that could happen that we have to pay for? Repairs, right? Vending machine breaks. or students, the vending machines eat their money and we have to refund students out of our own pockets. Or there's such a mess in our rooms now that we have to hire an extra janitor. Okay, potential risk. I'm gonna skip that page. Okay. All right, now we're on to benefits. This is still under the same, we're in cost and benefits. Okay, so that section was costs. Now we're talking about benefits. Okay, we've got direct benefits. So this is literally the money we would make. So if Cross Creek is making money from these vending machines, direct benefit is gonna be that dollar bill that we are making from the sales of whatever we're selling, okay? Indirect benefit is going to be that satisfaction that students have. I think I mentioned that as intangible costs. That would be, intangible costs would be the negative portion of that. So that would be if teachers were dissatisfied. Indirect benefit is going to be students are satisfied. Students are so happy. Students are never hungry. Students can focus more. Students learn better. Students make A's now. Okay, direct versus indirect. You can think of direct as money, indirect as something that you cannot put a currency value on. Okay, this is the third thing. So we've done framework, cost benefit. Now third, we're going to estimate the values. Now in number 2, we listed out our costs and benefits. We don't list out the actual dollar amount there. We just make a list of those categories. Like we would write down money we make from vending, money we gain from new students, okay? Here in this section is where you're actually going to estimate the money value for each one of these, okay? That gives no more information. So for the difficult part though is for the intangible categories. So there are ways that you could assign a monetary value to like student satisfaction or students getting good grades. And that's something you could choose to do, or you could just put a smiley face beside it and you can count up how many smiley faces. Like, what is it worth to you? Do you think that it's worth $10,000 or $100,000? That gets a little more tricky, but still. All right, now you're going to analyze the costs and benefits. So just like if you were making a pro-con list and you added up all the pros and you added up all the cons, it's basically what you're doing here. You're going to actually make a total sum of all the costs. So like with your little calculator, how much could it potentially cost me? How much is it, literally, how many dollar bills am I going to have to spend? And then you're going to do the same thing with benefits. How much will it benefit us? All right. And keep in mind, there's going to be those intangibles that are in there as well. And either you've given those their money value or you can add those to the list. You can say dollars, the amount of dollars is going to benefit us plus increased ACT scores. Okay. And then you are going to subtract the costs from the benefits. Yes. So benefits minus costs. And that will give you the net benefit, meaning this is how much money you will actually make if you make this change. Remember, those intangibles are still going to be there, though. You can say, well, I'm only going to make $5, but my students are going to have ACT scores that are higher. Okay? Don't worry, we're going to practice this all together. And then fifth, your final step is going to be making recommendations. All right, so here's what you're going to consider with your recommendations. 4 was analyze costs and benefits. Okay, and then 5 is make recommendations. Okay, so here's what you're going to look at. You're obviously going to look at that final number, that net cost benefit. So for example, if I'm only going to make $100 from putting these vending machines in, and I've realized that my students are not making higher grades, and the faculty, I'm looking at that risk of the faculty being upset, what recommendation would I make to the school? Well, I would say it's not worth it. It's not worth $100. And then also those intangible risks. It's not worth it. However, if I'm going to make $5,000 and the ACT scores are going to go up, that's worth it. So this is where you really analyze the costs versus the benefits and the intangibles, and then make a recommendation. Now, okay, that's all the notes on that. What I want us to do is look at an example together that we can do. Sorry, me and my million tabs. Let me make sure I'm not giving you the homework. Okay. All right. Almost there. Oh, I was supposed to have you take notes on this worksheet. I thought I had one problem solving worksheet. I don't. Okay, let me quickly. This is one thing. I don't know. I'm sure many of you are familiar with using AI. One of the things that I use AI for is to come up with specific scenarios that my brain won't come up with. So I'm going to say, come up with a fun scenario for students to do a cost-benefit analysis on. Okay, we're going to do this together instead of in groups, just so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page, since I know most of you probably have never done one of these before. Okay, so our scenario is your class has been tasked with raising money for a new field trip. Yay! The most popular suggestion is a bake sale. I don't care about the twist. Okay. I have a limited budget. Okay, I'm gonna add in here. The most popular suggestion is a bake sale or steak dinner.
$10 or $10.
Hold on. I'm gonna change a little bit. Okay. I don't care about the limited budget. I don't need that information. So again, sometimes AI doesn't give you exactly what you need. That's why I'm changing it. So the challenge for us is we are going to do a cost benefit analysis on each one of these. Okay, bake sale versus steak dinner. Okay, now some of these are going to, some of these categories are going to have the same answers for steak dinner as they are bake sale. So we'll use the same thing for that. But all right, so the first thing that we do is to do what? What is the first step that I told you about in your notes?
Build the framework.
Build the framework. Okay, and what is the first step within framework?
Question to answer.
Okay, the question we're going to answer is, which fundraiser should we do?
Are you printing that, or do we need to take a note?
You don't have to take, this is just practice, so you don't have to do either, but if you want to take notes, you can. Okay, so which fundraiser should we do? What's the next step within the framework?
An overview of your current situation.
Okay. So current situation is, I'm going to make this up. What are we raising money for?
Raising money for
A new field trip. Okay, so where are we wanting to go on our field trip? Think big.
That's cool.
Niagara Falls.
Hawaii.
Niagara Falls. Okay. Our school desires to go to Niagara Falls, but we are poor. And most of us cannot afford that. We would need, we're going to say $350 per student to do so. Okay. I mean, okay, what's the next category within framework?
The next one is given that background statistics quantitative. That's how I had it.
Okay, Okay. Basically, we don't have. Do we have any money in the fund already?
We have
$10.
10 pennies, yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say $10. We currently have $10. How many students do we have?
3.
I don't we did-
Who want to go? Tell me. 20? Okay.
said-
We have 20 students who desire to go on the field trip.
Pay for the brochure at least.
Okay. What's the next thing in the framework?
Opportunities.
Opportunities and areas of improvement.
I mean, that's obviously we just need to raise money. And then the next, risk to status quo?
Yep.
Okay. So what would the bad things be if we didn't raise this money?
Well, we just couldn't go
We'd be
Niagara
depressed.
Falls.
I'm gonna say this, only Grayson could afford to go.
Depressed.
No, but only 1 or 2 students could afford to go. Students would be sad. School morale would be at an all-time low.
Devastating.
So try.
Devastation. Okay, and then what's the next in the framework?
List and categorize costs and benefits. That's this next.
That's number 2. So
Okay.
it would be the direct cost.
Okay, we've done all within framework. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Okay, so costs and benefits. So I spelled devastation wrong. Y'all know I don't know how to spell. All right. We're gonna do costs first. Is that correct?
Cost you $7,000 to take off one.
Okay. Well, our question though isn't about taking the field trip. It is about the bake sale. Okay. So honestly, I probably shouldn't have answered it like that.
I mean,
Hold on, let's go back and think. Do you ever do that? Like, get the wrong question in your mind. So let's think about, should we? Okay, I'm still gonna put that in there. But let's talk about, okay, so costs. So we're gonna say steak, we're focusing on steak dinner. Okay, so what's the first one we're gonna do? Direct costs?
direct costs, yes.
Okay, so we need to sell. Let's just do some background to see what. I'm just gonna throw out a number. We're gonna try to raise $1,000. And the steaks are gonna cost us $300. So we're gonna do that in a second. Okay. So direct costs. What direct costs would we have associated with the steak dinner besides the steaks?
If we sold something else like vegetables alongside that.
Okay, food. We'll say food. We'll say another 200. What else? Cole says chairs and such. That's gonna be more.
Mary has said that.
Okay, that's gonna be more indirect cost because we already have those, but we still kind of do have to pay for the building. So we're gonna put that under mortgage because if the building's mortgage is not paid, can we have a steak dinner here? No. We're gonna make up a number. I'm gonna say 2,000. If the electricity is not paid for, can we have a steak dinner here?
Definitely not.
Okay.
have to pay for electricity too?
Well, we don't have to. That's why it's an indirect cost.
Actually, if you do have a mortgage, though, you can still be there as long as you pay the mortgage.
Well, I know that's why I said we had to pay the mortgage.
You've got 30 days.
Okay. Anyway, what's another indirect cost or direct cost? What about? Are we gonna print flyers, Grayson?
Yes, so.
Okay, we're gonna spend $20. What?
Just my little
Supplies.
Chinese kids do it.
We'll say miscellaneous supplies.
We have to like get table cloths and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, decorations.
Yeah, I guess, wouldn't that go under miscellaneous, though?
I don't know. Decorations, y'all are okay. What other type of cost do we have? This is gonna be anything that's negative. So these are gonna be intangibles, right?
Nobody shows up. At a cost.
What? So let's think about it this way. If everything goes well,
The food's poisoned.
no, let's say everything went well. Okay, no food poisoning. What bad stuff could come from it? Everything went well that night. What
So-
bad could come from it?
Something bad that meant. I was gonna say if you meant it went well, that means everybody's steak came out not moving.
Yeah, everything went well with that. Is there anything bad that could come from it? What?
Bus driver could have had a heart attack.
No, everything went everything went well, and we're talking about just the steak dinner. Is there-
Cocky.
They all want you to do it every week.
Well, that's what I'm
Or
saying.
Every fundraiser, they want you to have.
See,
this
okay,
dinner.
that's good. Lacey's saying so now. Now standards are high. Grayson,
What? What?
I can see the comments
Yeah.
on my YouTube live. Okay, now now standards are too high, and people want us to do every fundraiser we do from now on. We have to do steak, okay? Or maybe people felt left out because they couldn't afford to come to the steak dinner.
Yay.
Okay, all right. Now we're gonna go to benefits, right?
Benefits
Money.
is money.
And food.
Okay, we're gonna say we made how much in sales?
$5,000.
Thousand sales.
Well, what was our risk?
We'll go back to it in a second. We'll say we made 2,000 in sales and donations.
And donations.
Okay, what about indirect benefits?
I would say that
Everybody's tummies are happy.
Tummy's happy.
morale is high.
Morale high. Maybe new people came to the school.
I can
Possible
remember these
enrollments.
things.
Possible new enrollments. Exactly. Okay. What's the next category that we have to do?
Estimate value.
Estimated value.
Okay. And I did that, and I wasn't supposed to do that, guys. I went ahead and did 3 when I was supposed to wait. Okay. So in part 2, you just list the stuff. You don't add the values. I already did that. Okay. So now let's assign. This is the hard part. Let's assign for these intangible and indirect how much that's worth to us. We're going to assign it on a scale of 1 smiley face to 5 smiley faces. Okay.
That was my tummy happy.
Or 1 frowny face to 5 frowny faces. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Standards are too high. How many frowny faces do you think that is?
I would say
Three.
probably, yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. People feel left out. How many frowny
Happy
faces?
face.
I would
I love
say-
people left out.
Just 1 frowny
I'm gonna go
face?
with 2 frowny faces because I mean,
Oh, I'd
it's
say
kind of
2.
like a,
It can be bad. All right. What about tummy's happy? How many smiley faces would you give that?
4.
I
Give
love
it
my tummy
1.
happy.
It's not that important to the school that your tummies are happy.
I mean, people would come back
I
if
would
they
bully
got
people.
Okay. What about morale though?
morale's definitely at least 3 or 4.
I'd say 4. Okay, what about new people possibly coming to the school? How many smiley
Probably
faces?
5 because that's money.
Caitlin Sue. Okay. All right, now what's the next step? Number 4 or 5, whatever.
Analyze.
4.
Oh, we did that.
No, we gotta do a net benefit, don't we? We didn't do
Oh,
that.
The net cost.
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna add up. We're gonna do our math.
So
You can take all that money and go gambling.
Hold on. So we have 500 here, and then 600, 620. Okay, 620 in moolah, and then how many smiley faces do we have? Oh, wait, indirect costs. Okay, so indirect costs, you don't have to consider the whole amount. What you're gonna do is take a percentage. And how much do you think, percentage of the mortgage do you think we should consider as one of our indirect costs?
honestly, less than for an event like this, I would say
You could do
Why
it.
don't we do it at the school though?
We are. But you still, if the school is running this fundraiser, the school is still incurring that indirect cost because, and I know that doesn't quite make sense, but it's like you are still paying for the school building, whether you're going to do the event or not, but you still have to consider it a cost. So you could do, you could get very scientific and you could say, these are how many hours are in a month. I'm going to divide that by the mortgage by that, and that's how many hours. And we're doing 2 hours of fundraiser, therefore we're gonna say we incur $40 of the cost. Yes, ma'am.
Did you just say you could get very scientific?
Yes.
I thought it was math.
Well, math is a science.
But I
I
don't
remember
wanna
who
know.
said
Statistics is a
I
science.
don't want to know.
Okay.
I can't remember who said that you
Okay.
have to do a little bit of math, a little bit of science, and the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay, it's both. All right, so 662 is what our costs are gonna be, and then intangibles, we've got 5 frowny faces.
I'm not making nothing.
5 frownies. Okay. All right, now let's add up our benefits. We've got 2,000 and how many happy faces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got 2,000 plus 9 smileys minus 662. And how many frownies? 5?
5, I think.
5 frowns.
I think you said more crowns.
So our net would be 1338 plus 4 smiles. Okay,
Yay.
now's our time to make recommendation. Here's where I'm going to go back and tweak the number for a bake sale. Okay,
Alright.
so for a bake sale, how much would it cost to make cookies and cakes?
$10.
We can use whatever we want.
So what, like 100?
Probably.
Less?
Let's say
75?
200 because we're gonna make a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say 200, and let's do another flyer, so 220. But we don't have to really. Oh, we can decorate 220.
Yeah, because you're gonna need stands. You're gonna need like tables and stuff that you set up on. We're making a lot of stuff. You know?
We're gonna say 400. Okay. So the difference between this would be steak dinner, but so that's 200 less. But we're going to take some of these. I'm gonna put this here. 400 is what we're spending. But let's look at our intangibles. Our standard's gonna be too high.
For bake sale?
Yeah. No. Okay. Are people gonna feel left out?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Bake sale? Who cares?
Are there any other intangibles? Maybe. What about people gluten intolerant?
Same as Wallace?
What if you find a hair in your cookie?
No,
I miss her.
those are the what ifs. We're not going to do what ifs. Well, we're going to do actual things that could come from it. Okay, that's like playing that what if scenarios. This is actually so gluten intolerant people might feel left out. What okay, but then we have to raise the cost. How many frowny faces do we want to give to that?
Three.
Are there any other sad things that might happen? Not that might go wrong, that might come from it.
Overbakes. Like sometimes it's
Food waste. How
That
many?
could also come from the steak dinner as well.
That's true. We didn't consider. So I won't put that on either, since that could come from that.
Attraction of ants.
Same thing in the dinner.
I mean, that is possible, but that's kind of the worst case scenario. Okay, 3 frownies. And what about the benefits? Tummies can be happy. Morales can be good. Are new people going to come to the school because of the bake sale?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, so we have 5 happies, 3 frownies. So the difference between this is going to be
Was it like 3?
5
It was
happies.
5 to 3.
How many frownies?
Get 3.
3. Okay, so we are left with. Hold on. I'm going to say that this is steak. Copy steak. Okay, and then this is going to be 1,600 plus 2 smiles. All right, so here we have the difference, okay? Steak dinner is going to give us 1,338 plus 4 smileys. And bake sale is going to give us 1,600 plus 2 smileys. Which one would we choose?
I think for
Bake
the
sale.
goal, bake sale.
I don't want smiles.
We have to decide if those intangibles are worth it to lose out just a couple $100. So if we're gaining new students, because that's one of the smileys that would come from the steak sale, the steak dinner, then perhaps those smileys might be worth it, because then those new students might net us thousands and thousands of dollars in profit. But that is something as a business, that's one of the reasons why you do that cost benefit analysis, where you even list out those intangibles, because it's pretty easy to see number wise which one has the benefit. But here's where I would then go in depth and look back at those intangibles for each one to decide which one makes the most sense. Okay. All right, so we're going to stop there. I'm going to pass out. You're going to do a similar thing tomorrow with a scenario that's on a worksheet, and it gives you the categories that I want you to go through. You're not going to follow these exact steps, but it's going to be a little more simplified for you. And I will also give you the new lesson plans as well. So Grace and I will stop talking now.
What do you have you do on my phone?
It says I am Grayson.
Okay, so
have YouTube on my phone.
Then who is it?
It's not me.
Who are you, Ben? Who are you, Ben Phelps?
Someone's been
There.